Divakar, do you know the history behind Israel-Palestine conflict? Go ask others also.
Shri, I'm on a task. Do you know the history behind Israel-Palestine conflict?
No.
You shame. Kalyani, do you know the history behind Israel-Palestine conflict? Disgrace. Kiran Bhau, do you know the history behind Israel-Palestine conflict?
No.
Sai, do you know the history behind Israel-Palestine conflict?
No.
Bro, Risha, do you know the history behind Israel-Palestine conflict?
Sure, come, I'm going to tell you.
Hey, hello. It's my video.
Bruh.
It's my video.
But she knows.
It's my video. Come.
The Israel-Palestine conflict has been the talk of the town, and it's also the statuses of everyone on WhatsApp and Instagram. But when you ask these people what is the source of this conflict and whose side are you on based off history, they would not know. That's what you just saw. Now, when you talk about this issue, it's not just a political issue. It's not just an ethnic issue. It's not a religious issue. It has a lot of things that a lot of people don't understand. Let's dive deep into this topic and know the history of this particular issue. Going back in time, Palestine has been an integral part of the Ottoman Empire. If you look at the map on your screen, this is how big the Ottoman Empire was, and this is the exact placement of Palestine as a nation. Here, Christians, Muslims, and Jews lived peacefully. But as time progressed, things changed. Let's cut to 1900. If you talk about 1900, you have to talk about Jews. Now, Jews were spread all across the world, in America, in Europe, in Arab nations, so on and so forth. And in 1900, they started a movement called as the Zionist movement, or Zionism as we call it. It was founded by Theodor Herzl, where he went on to portray that if these historical aggressions have to be stopped against the Jews, there has to be a homeland for them to be protected. Now, that's when in 1897, the Zionist conference or the Zionist Congress was held, where they declared that they will soon establish a holy homeland for themselves. Now, cut to 14 years later, 1914, when the World War I started. Now, when the World War I started, the Ottoman Empire, inside which the Palestine was located, was obviously on the side of the Axis power, that is Germany, Italy, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And you know what happened during that war. Now, you have to understand that right after the Holy Homeland Declaration, a lot of Jews actually started to move into Palestine because they felt somewhat this is a land where they belong to. Because as you know, Jerusalem is a place that is common in terms of faith for both Christians, Muslims, and Jews as well. So in the middle of the war, UK and France started to urge some Palestinian groups, some Arab groups, to rebel against the Ottoman Empire because they wanted to portray the fact that after the war is done, they will be given a separate individual independent Arab state and they will not be a part of the Ottoman Empire. That's where the rebellion of the Arabs against the Ottoman Empire started. But were the Arabs given an independent state? I'll come to that. Again, in the middle of the war, two big nations, British and France, that were on one side, signed a secret agreement. The agreement was called as the Sykes-Picot Agreement, where they secretly understood, with the assent of Italy and other nations, that they will divide Arab nation or the Ottoman Empire amongst themselves. Well, something interesting, right? But later on, they wanted America also to be a part of the war. And hence, they started to pursue, or you could say they started to push the American Jews to put pressure on the American government to be a part of the World War I. As a part of this, the British went on to give their infamous declaration called as the Balfour Declaration, where they said they will give a separate state for the Jews. Now, you're getting my point here. Here, they have promised Arabs also a separate land. They have also promised Jews a separate land. And right after the Balfour Declaration was done, Jewish migration also pumped up in this small little land of Palestine. While this went on, the problem was not solved, and the problem persisted. The Jewish migration kept increasing. The Arabs obviously did not like the fact that there is more and more Jewish people coming into their land. So there's some sort of a problem between the two communities started in the land of Palestine. And post-war, Palestine became a British mandate and it somewhat became the British colony. But let's cut to what happened by 1939, where the World War II started. As you all know, massive Holocaust happened against the Jews in Germany. They started to move into Palestine more and more. But now, when the World War II was coming to an end, there was a solution needed. There was a problem to be solved because Arabs were also claiming this to be their own land, whereas Jews were also claiming this to be their own land. So what did UK do? As usual, like how UK did it in India and several countries, they just moved out of it and put UN in charge of this particular thing, where UN declared a ceasefire somewhat, and they said a two-state solution will be provided. But why wasn't this two-state solution provided? Because there was no two-state. Because everywhere there were Jews, everywhere there were Arabs, and everywhere there were Arabs, everywhere there were Jews. They could not find a solution to this particular problem. Now, this is the history of this problem. It's not the Jews who are the problem. It's not the Arabs who are the problem. It's the promises that were made to them in the form of giving them their own homeland. But what happened when Jews went into this particular place? Arabs did not remain there. If you can see this map on your screen, this is how the population of Jews increased in Palestine, where there were a very small segment of people, and as of today you can see Arabs are missing. It's only Jews who are living in this particular land. It was in the year 1947, ladies and gentlemen, the same year India declared independence, that there was a war that was fought between these two so-called countries. And in 1948, Israel declared itself an independent nation without boundaries and without any kind of orders. Now, this was a problem because Israel was supported by Western nations, where they felt Israel could be their buffer state among this massive oil well called as Middle East. While at the same time, the Middle Easterns or the Arabs supported Palestine, be it Egypt, be it Lebanon, be it Iran. They supported Palestine so that they could fight against Israel. The wars went on, they fought several wars, but one thing was clear, they could not win against Israel. How was that possible? That's called internal politics, where some countries support some countries. Now that is why they say there's a proxy war going on, where Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, which does not have money to fund itself, but is still attacking Israel. How? This is where the idea of proxy war comes in, where the Houthi rebels in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Hamas come into picture and fight massive wars in the name of some other nation. So as of today, if you see, the situation has gone back to worse because Israel has declared a state of war. And will this war end in the right way? Will there ever be a solution to this problem? That only time will tell.